With number 34 back in the fold, the Bills won 3 of their last 4 games.
Carlton Chester "Cookie" Gilchrist was a standout fullback who made his mark in both the American Football League and the Canadian Football League. In 1962, he was honored as the AFL's most valuable player with the Buffalo Bills and later earned a spot on the AFL all-time second team. Sadly, after he retired, he faced serious health problems that ultimately took his life. But before we spill all the details, make sure to subscribe. In an article from the Buffalo News dated March 18, 2007, it was revealed that Carlton Chester "Cookie" Gilchrist, then 71 years old and living in Natrona Heights, Pennsylvania, was undergoing treatment for throat cancer. Unfortunately, his health struggles didn't end there. On January 10, 2011, Gilchrist passed away at an assisted living facility in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. After his death, it was discovered that he had stage 4 chronic traumatic encephalopathy, a condition often linked to repeated head injuries. This diagnosis might help explain some of the behavioral issues he faced. Gilchrist had been aware of the possibility of having CTE when he was working on his autobiography, The Cookie That Did Not Crumble, with Chris Garbarino. To aid research into this condition, he generously donated his brain to the Canadian Sports Concussion Project. Gilchrist's case was part of a larger trend, as he was one of at least 345 NFL players diagnosed with CTE after their deaths. This disease is commonly associated with the cumulative impact of repeated head injuries sustained during their careers. His life after his retirement took a lot of unexpected turns. In 1974, Gilchrist took a significant step to support former football players by founding the United Athletes Coalition of America. This organization aimed to help retired athletes adjust to life after their playing careers. A year later, in 1975, he organized a high-profile benefit concert at Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto. Despite his accomplishments, Gilchrist had a tumultuous relationship with the football community. He had numerous conflicts with people he worked with during his career. One notable issue was his refusal to accept induction into the Canadian Football Hall of Fame. Some say it was due to his dissatisfaction with how he was compensated, while others believe it was related to how he felt he was treated in the past. In 2010, Gilchrist addressed this issue, saying he never actually turned down the Hall of Fame. He clarified that despite his throat cancer being in remission and his weight stable, he felt undervalued by Canada. He expressed respect for fellow players and love for the Canadian people, but felt the country did not reciprocate his affection. Gilchrist cited his past disputes and the way he was portrayed as reasons for his estrangement, asserting that he was unfairly treated from 1956 to 2010. He promised that his life story would reveal more about his experiences once his autobiography was completed. Gilchrist also had issues with other honors. He initially refused to accept a place on the Buffalo Bills Wall of Fame because he wanted to be paid for the appearance. However, after some persuasion from broadcaster Van Miller, he agreed to reconsider. Despite this, he was not inducted before his death. Posthumously, in 2011, Gilchrist was inducted into the Greater Buffalo Sports Hall of Fame. Although he had accepted an earlier induction onto the Bills Wall of Honor, which was a precursor to the Wall of Fame at War Memorial Stadium, the honorees from that wall were not carried over to Rich Stadium when it was built. Finally, on August 30, 2017, the Buffalo Bills announced that Gilchrist would be inducted into the Buffalo Bills Wall of Fame, recognizing his significant contributions to the team and the sport. His career truly defined how great he was. Gilchrist was a standout player at Harbrack High School in Natrona Heights, Pennsylvania. In 1953, he led his high school team to a co-championship in the Western Pennsylvania Interscholastic Athletic League by tying with Donora. His impressive performance caught the attention of many, including Paul Brown, who was the head coach of the Cleveland Browns in the NFL. As a junior, Gilchrist was persuaded by Brown to sign a professional football contract with the Browns. However, this move was against NFL rules and was likely not entirely legal. To make matters worse, when Brown failed to keep his promise that Gilchrist would make the team, Gilchrist decided to leave the training camp at Hiram College in Hiram, Ohio. Determined to pursue his football career, Gilchrist headed to Canada. There, he joined the Ontario Rugby Football Union, where he quickly made a name for himself. In 1954, he earned the Jim Shanks Trophy for being the team MVP with the Sarnia Imperials. The following year, in 1955, he was awarded the Team MVP award for his outstanding play with the Kitchener-Waterloo Dutchmen. In 1956, Gilchrist made a significant move by joining the Canadian Football League with the Hamilton Tiger Cats. His impact was immediate, as he played a key role in helping the team secure a Grey Cup victory in 1957. After spending one season with the Tiger Cats, he moved to the Saskatchewan Roughriders, where he had an impressive season, rushing for 1,154 yards. Following that successful stint, Gilchrist was traded to the Toronto Argonauts in exchange for Tex Schwerer. He went on to spend 3 years with the Argonauts. During his 6 years in the CFL, Gilchrist established himself as a dominant player. He was named a Divisional All-Star at running back for 5 consecutive years, from 1956 to 1960, a notable achievement considering there were no All-Canadian selections during those years. Additionally, in 1960, he was recognized as an Eastern All-Star at linebacker. That same year, he was also the runner-up for the CFL's Most Outstanding Player Award. Over his CFL career, Gilchrist accumulated 4,911 rushing yards, 1,068 receiving yards, and 12 interceptions. Gilchrist joined the Buffalo Bills in the early days of the American Football League. Interestingly, he was brought in as a backup plan. The Bills had originally drafted Ernie Davis to be their star running back in 1962. However, Davis chose to join the NFL instead and tragically passed away from leukemia before he could play professionally. As a result, the Bills signed Gilchrist as a free agent. Once with the Bills, Gilchrist played as a fullback and also contributed as a kicker, although he felt he could have played both offense and defense if given the chance. He made a huge impact right away, becoming the first player in AFL history to rush for over 1,000 yards in a single season, with 1,096 yards in just a 14-game schedule in 1962. That same year, he set the AFL record for most touchdowns in a season with 13 and was named the AFL MVP. In 1963, Gilchrist set a remarkable record by rushing for 263 yards and scoring 5 touchdowns in a single game against the New York Jets. Although he played for the Bills for only 3 years, he left a lasting legacy. He remains the team's 9th leading rusher of all time and led the league in scoring during each of his 3 seasons with the Bills. His 122 yards in the Bills' 1964 AFL Championship win over the San Diego Chargers was crucial to their 27 victory. His 4.5 yards per rush average with the Bills is second only to O.J. Simpson. Gilchrist was also noted for his exceptional blocking skills, which broadcaster and former coach John Madden praised as possibly the best ever seen in the game. In a notable civil rights achievement for black athletes, Gilchrist led a successful boycott against New Orleans, hosting the 1965 AFL All-Star Game, protesting racism and discrimination. He also had a complex relationship with the Canadian Football Hall of Fame and Museum. Although he never formally accepted induction, he clarified before his death that it wasn't a simple refusal, but rather a complicated issue involving his strained relations with CFL officials and his feelings about being treated unfairly in Canada. Gilchrist often clashed with team management, particularly because he was outspoken about his principles at a time when black athletes were expected to stay silent. After his time with the Bills, he was traded to the Denver Broncos before the 1965 season in exchange for fullback Billy Joe and cash. He played for the Broncos in 1965 and 1967 and for the Miami Dolphins in 1966. He was later sent to the Cincinnati Bengals in the 1968 expansion draft, where he reunited with his former coach Paul Brown, but retired due to knee problems. Throughout his career, Gilchrist was an AFL All-Star for 4 consecutive years. making him one of the few players to achieve All-Star status for 10 consecutive years across both the CFL and AFL. He was named to the all-time American Football League team and was inducted into the Professional Football Researchers Association Hall of Very Good in 2013. On October 29, 2017, the Bills honored Gilchrist by inducting him into their Wall of Fame during a home game against the Oakland Raiders. His achievements were truly unmatched. Gilchrist made history in the American Football League by becoming the first player to rush for over 1,000 yards in a single season, achieving 1,096 yards in just 14 games during 1962. He also set a remarkable record for the most rushing yards in a game with 243 yards against the New York Jets on December 8, 1963. In recognition of his exceptional career, the Buffalo Bills officially retired his number 34 jersey, honoring both him and another great player, Thurman Thomas, who also wore that number. Gilchrist is one of only 3 players to lead the league in rushing touchdowns for 4 or more seasons, and is the first and so far only player to lead in rushing touchdowns for 4 consecutive seasons. His contributions to the sport were further recognized when he was honored by the Professional Football Researchers Association's Hall of Very Good in 2013, a special recognition for outstanding players who aren't in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Additionally, he was celebrated by being included in the Buffalo Bills Wall of Fame. That is it for this one, but if you have legends, make sure to check out these videos about Frank Ryan on our channel NFL Icons. I'm sure I will love it.